All righty. Good morning. We are back again for our nonprofit coaching program. And this is an opportunity for nonprofit leaders to gather in a group coaching space that's budget friendly, but high quality, and for us to strategically talk about those capacity building components and infrastructure that we need to propel our nonprofit forward. One of the things, of course, that is the number one question for nonprofit leaders is how do I get funding? And then more specifically, it's asked, how do I receive grants? And receiving grants has definitely shifted, right, over the past 4 years with COVID, all of that good stuff. Let me do something real quick so I can make sure that we will be A-okay. I am recording on my phone, and so just want to make sure we're good. Okay. All righty. So, but back to what I was saying. COVID has indeed changed a lot. And you know what? Hold on 1 second, because it's not going to. Let me do this. Okay. I have to make sure I put on do not disturb. All righty. COVID has changed a lot when it comes down to grants. I think grant funders for sure have recognized that their grant process and when it comes to the application process has been tedious for organizations. That still did not dismiss the fact that organizations still needed to have preparation in order to receive grant funding. And so while this may seem very basic, but just to ensure that everyone has an understanding of what is a grant is really, in the world of Shunqetta, an exchange. You don't get a grant first. The first process is submitting a proposal to the grant funder with their open application process. And you are to ensure you're looking over that grant application, that you're going to be in compliance, that you meet the requirements, that you understand the mission. And then from there, you submit, of course, meeting the deadline. And it's that exchange when they review, the grant funder believes that you are an adequate fit for their social responsibility that they want to entrust with an organization to steward their dollars as you steward your program and transform your community. It is a great exchange. Going into any process to which you feel that grants are automatic, should be given, that we have a right to receive the grants because we are a nonprofit, then I am going to encourage you to just rethink that mindset. I often train nonprofit leaders when it comes to grants that it's a three-pronged process. It's a relationship that you must build with grant funders. It's about partnership, that grant funders have the expectation that while we cannot be the hands, we do have the purse string. You have the capabilities because you're directly in your community. You have a relationship. This is your day to day. And so we are entrusting you, we as in grant funders, to steward the funding that we are to give you, and in hopes that it's repeated, right? It's not all the time that it's going to be repetitive that you will receive this grant funding. But again, it is a process of a partnership, just like with anything. And so the partnership has to be cultivated and the relationship has to be managed, and the process has to be stewarded well. But before we even get to that, we need to ensure that we're grant ready. Now, there are always a faction of your organization that will need revising, that will need updating. You will never not be in the process of growth. So let me say that. Even when you scale your organization, you get to six figures, you begin to hire staff, whatever that process is, there's always going to be a refinement. So never think that as we're talking about preparation, that you receive this information and then you are done. Growth is a continual process of the little by little steps of receiving information, strategically implementing that information, and then evaluating that. It's the same process actually with grants, that receiving the grant funding after you submitted your grant proposal, you're still not done. You have to actually implement that process, and then you have to evaluate the outcomes. So let's talk about some of that preparation. Now, one of the things that we're going to hit on toward, I'm trying to figure out if we're going to do this in week 3 or 4, it just depends. But we definitely need to do an internal assessment, and so we may hit that at week 4, maybe 5. But we definitely have to do an assessment. We have to assess not just that we have funding needs. We will always have funding needs, whether you're at the startup, the scale up, or the soar up stage. You know, that's, you're always going to have funding needs. The way, though, to assess is, what do I need right now to get me to level 1 or 2 or 3? The issue at times is that we are wanting to get level 3 funding, let's just say $100,000 for a level 1 process. And so with that, when we don't have the adequate programs to match what we think we need, more than likely waste comes in. That's when we're not going to be a good steward, because we don't even have the program to scale. So we need to assess, what is it that we need? We want to partner with grant funders, but do we need to bring in the grant funders that are looking to fund high-level projects at $75,000, at $100,000 at this point? Or are we needing to ensure that we have funding, a funding request at the level of growth that we're at, and then growth that we know that we can sustain within the next 12 to 18 months? That assessment is real. How do we assess that? We need to evaluate first, who is the who of the organization, not even of the people that we're serving. If we're going to do this program, is this program depending on one person? Does it need 2 people to do it? Does it need 3 people? Because we think we need more people sometimes to do a lot of work. But let's just say right now you're in this 1 to 5 year mark, and you have a consistent target population that's coming to you for, and you have about 25 individuals in your program. Well, we really need to assess the time that we spend with them, that when they're all together, can 3 people actually manage that level? Right? Do we need 25 people, volunteers for 25 people? And the answer is absolutely not. Even if you have a tutoring program for young kids, teachers, have classrooms of 14 people, little ones to themselves, or at least with one para, right? and I'm sure that ratio is off. But what I'm trying to say is that we think we need more people to do, and so then we justify that that means we need to pay them, and that's not the case either. So assess, who do you have? Because, and if there are what you needing. And then we do need to ensure that we are assessing the program. We spoke on this last week, but because the recording did not come out right, I just want to share that you do need to have a program, that you must have a consistent program that's a part of your organization platform when you are seeking grant funds, because at this level, most grant funding that you are going to pursue is project or program-based forming, program-based activities, because I think I messed it up. So there is a difference between a project, a program, and initiative. We'll go into that later, but right now, usually if you're in this first one to even, I mean, probably now about 10-year mark, you're getting to this initiative and more program phase. But really with the project is something, I give an example of if you're doing free haircuts at the back to school event, then that's a project. You may do that once a year, but a program may be to have those same young boys come for once a week, and you are teaching them the basics of hair cutting and entrepreneurship, the boys that you meet from the project that you have. A program is something that you do consistently. So, fix my video, I think it's a little blurry. So with that, you want to ensure that you have a program. Now, you can do a project for sure, but the frustration is going to be that it's kind of like a pop-up shop to me, a project. And if you're knowing that you are called to be a staple in your community, my encouragement, not saying that you can't have a project, because a lot of times projects will come from the programs that you have. And so you can apply for that funding. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm trying to say is that it's great for you to develop a program, which is something consistent that you do, that people know that you do it. They know when that you do it. And so I gave this example because not only am I a nonprofit consultant, I also founded a nonprofit with over a cup initiative. And the most consistent thing that we do, people know you can find us every fourth Saturday at 9 a.m. doing a business workshop. And it's been that platform for 6 years. It's the consistency. Do we do other things? Yes. But that is a consistent component. So your organization needs to have a consistent component. This is a part of grant readiness, having something to write about and that has an evidence of your doing and of your existence. That we're not just a nonprofit in name, but here is the consistent. And let me also share with you that it's not all about quantity, because people can have 100 people meet at their organization and it is to no effect. It's just they're popular, or they have the right people there, and it's because it's just a gathering space. How you measure is by capturing the testimonials of the individuals that come into your space. Yes, metrics do matter. So ensuring that you do have the sign-up sheet so we know that 100 people are coming. You want to be able to have visible evidence of your program. And these things may sound so basic, but they matter. They matter when they're asking you for a letter of interest before you even submit a grant proposal or a letter of inquiry, that they just want to even see, give me a summation about you. Do you have evidence of what you are doing in the community? This is why taking those photos matter. This is why, yes, doing the sign-in sheets matter. This is why the consistency. Do they know they look research you on Facebook or any social media, or, or if you have your website, do they know when you consistently gather? Or is it one of those things to where we will hand out care bags to those unhoused, and the homeless population whenever we feel like it? Grant preparation is all of these things here that, you think you have to take a certain class. AI and ChatGPT is changing a whole lot when it comes down to this submission. But let me also share what is changing in this grant preparation, that people are using the tools, and you see these testimonials. I got this amount of money for my business, this amount of money for my nonprofit. Let me share with you as a consultant what I'm also seeing. There is no concept of sustainability because the infrastructure wasn't there. What are you going to do? It's kind of like, just got to get into it. A lot of the organizations that took out PPP loans, well, you didn't have a plan to maximize. You didn't know that you actually had to make sales once the money, you've spent the money, right? And that is dried up. Or even for nonprofits, you didn't know that you actually still had to build a donor base or go and seek other funding streams. And so now the sustainability in your model is showing, because people are panicking or closing down because there was no base, there was no readiness, there was no preparation. You will have to prepare. You have to get these basics. The success is still in the basics, no matter how advanced technology gets. So going back to this assessment, it's important that we assess. We've talked about who you will need, making sure that you identify that you have a program and the people that you are going to serve. And then, of course, the financial health and management of what will it take, that you do have a basic budget of operations. I know for the LEAP program that we have, that is an incubator program sponsored by my company through Overcup for Black women entrepreneurs. There's a very basic budget that I have that allow us to succeed in meeting our goals of helping Black women entrepreneurs refine their business plans, right? During this 8-week process, there's a very basic budget that I have. I also have a dream budget, to where if I should get additional funding, and let me say we should get additional funding to operate this program for our cohort 3, then we could do some more things for sure. But the basics of having the foundation that these women can come in and they will be able to be met, to glean from experts in business, million-dollar CEOs, professionals, expertise, right? From individuals in marketing and social media management, all that good stuff. That program still will go on at the very basic budget. And then I have, but here's what we can do budget if we have more. This is what is a stronghold for nonprofit leaders, that they don't know what is the minimum that we need to ensure that the goal is met. We need to have a minimum. And then, of course, we can have that dream budget that has all these great components, right? Of hiring more people, getting a vehicle, all of that good stuff. So we just need to ensure that the readiness of the organization, of our organization, is there. And with the budget, what does that basic look like, right? Now, I actually have a budget. Let me remind me I need to send that to you to where, first of all, I tell people, don't reinvent the wheel. Now, we're here now, Chat GPT. So I have a basic budget for sure, but I'm going to just give you a quick tool, and you probably have already using it. But Chat GPT will help you say, hey, what's a realistic budget? I think organizations should start with a $10,000 budget. This is Shunqetta. There are other organizations that will, consultants, excuse me, that will differ. But I'm sharing what I've seen and what's attainable, what can be replicated easily, because it's hard to start in your first year with $50,000 and you didn't even have a plan for that, right? But it's good to start from a very basic budget that could help fulfill the immediate needs and then to build upon that. So let's just say we start with $10,000 and you have a program that offers monthly counseling to veterans. So you can put in Chat GPT right now to help me devise a budget of $10,000 for our monthly veterans roundtable, a meetup. Some of the supplies that are needed is to be able to have food, at our meeting, which will cost about, let's just say, $100 a meeting. Want to have printed materials at the meeting. Want to ensure that we have administration and operation component, maybe about 30% of that. You can put this in if you need fuel if you have a van, that that when you go out, you pick up certain people, that it costs you maybe about $40 for a trip every time you meet over the next 12 months. But it will help you devise a budget. Now, again, where Chat GPT has its greatest strengths, I do think you should run that over with a consultant or with your board treasurer. I know you should, because again, it doesn't account for everything, but it's a basic way for you to start. But we have to start from these components of the assessment. Who's our team? Who are we reaching? Do we have the understanding that when we engage with grant funders, that we're wanting to build relationships? And just like you don't like for people to come and have their hand out with you and ask you for money and then don't speak to you, don't follow up with you, don't say hi when they see you at events. We have to have the same mindset that we need to cultivate relationships with people within the organizations to which we are seeking grant funding from. It's very vital. And then we need to ensure that we have a financial assessment, that we have a basic budget. And I'm saying basic because you want something that you can grow with. A basic budget. We oftentimes disrespect the small beginnings or the refinement of organizations because anxiousness. We feel like, things are not going right, things are falling apart. The board, this, and just so many components. And those things could all be true. At the same time, a number of things can be true at the same time, that we still need to have a process of being a good steward over the basic and the small beginnings so we can know how to gradually grow with the blessings of what we're teaching here in this nonprofit coaching program in what I call the impact circle, because that's what we are striving to meet. This is our goal in the impact circle, to get our organizational structure sound and strong so that we can impact the world to which we're called. So these are the things that I want you to look over in this week and to see where you are at, to give an assessment of your own assessment. And from then, when you recognize that you don't have one of these components or even all of these components, my encouragement is to not get discouraged or anything, but little by little, take it 1 week at a time. Over the next 4 weeks, just start with, you know what? We need to get our team together. Week 1, I need to figure out what's the organization structure? Who do I need to accomplish these things? This program, to make sure that it's efficient, it's off the ground. Week 2, I do need to look at the budget, the financial health. What we're asking for, can't we maintain? Do we have the basics of a bank account, or, do we have a spreadsheet of, our finances? What is our budget for the organization? What we need for the program? You need to ensure that you have that in place. You can right now start with Excel docs in Google, or, a basic Excel document. What is the Google Sheets? And then Excel, that's what I'm trying to say. And then you want to look at your program. You want to ensure that this is what we're going to do consistently. This is what we can afford to do. And so if from your numbers in week 3, you can say, you know what, this is how we can restructure the program then to ensure that we're not under. What is the maximum thing that we can do with minimal financial input? Sometimes we can be so quick, even now. Oh, we got a $10,000 grant. You do want to use the grant on your program in the moderation. It's not for you to spend in 1 month. People will think that. People that don't know how to leverage or sustain an organization, when you get money, you just want to spend. All right, you want to spend according to the program guideline, which they usually give you 6 months to a year to complete. So you want to make sure you have enough over that time. So talk with your team about that process. And then week 4, gather everyone, say, hey, I'm thankful that we're able to come together. We looked at this assessment of our team. We looked at how we're going to do the budget. We looked at refining the program so that we're consistent, so that when we're getting ready to talk about grants, everyone now has an understanding. Your grant conversation is going to go much easier. I know I said much and easier, but it will be easier to have this conversation because there's understanding at different levels. And guess what? You're going to continue these conversations. It's not a one and done. But if you at least try to map it out, to have consistent conversations, these conversations can be shared from, hey, do you all have 30 minutes to jump on to talk about this during your lunch break? Sometimes we can make meeting hard and complicate just action steps. 30-minute meetings during a lunch break. Just say, because, hey, there's some refinement that we need to do in order to prepare ourselves to be grant ready. So that is our tips for today. And I hope that you're able to glean from this information in our Grant Readiness Month. We will continue to build upon these building blocks as well. And so I will be sharing this. If you're watching this, on some other medium, this is what you will get by joining the nonprofit coaching program, the Impact Circle. And I hope that as you're watching this information, that you know that this is exactly the information that you need to thrive. And so I look forward to seeing you in the circle, and you can register with the information below. So at this time, I will be ending the recording to answer one-on-ones for individuals in the circle. Thank you.